somebody questioned Faisal Faiz also कि ये जो कुछ इस मुल्क में है वो कौन सी चीज़ हमारी है, क्या मंजदारों का वक्त हमारा है, क्या सिखों का ये मुल्क है। उसका जवाब उन्होंने कुछ इस तरह दिया कि जो कुछ इस धरती पर है वो हमारा है। And that is how we should look at our land and our history, because we have to own up whatever has happened on the soil, on the land, which today is Pakistan. Old City Lahore Authority is relatively a new organization. It started as a project about 14 years ago, but in 2012, that is 7 years ago, it was upgraded as an authority, which actually means that for the historic area of Lahore, the old Lahore, there has to be a focused, autonomous body which is meant to rehabilitate the old fabric and plan it and regenerate it. So I'm glad that here in Lahore, the historic spaces that we have done, one is the Shahi Imam, which has got the UNESCO award, the Masjid al-Chowk, the Hazuri Bagh area, as well as the bunkers area, and this space where we are sitting is the royal kitchens. I didn't even know that there was a Shahi Bagh in the Lahore fort, and I'm sure for the last 40 years, 50 years, nobody knew it, whether it existed. So one day when I just stumbled upon it, this place full of wild growth, there were scorpions and snakes here, and then we took upon ourselves to rehabilitate it, preserve it. And so this entire space has been properly preserved. The wooden portion with the I trust help, but the rest with my own team.
Our efforts, because you just said the main thing is that we are basically following all the methods and means of the UNESCO data on conservation of any world heritage sites. So we using all latest techniques to document these buildings as well before we touch it, before we start to work.
अभी हम इस जगह से एंटर कर रहे हैं, ये वुडन ब्रिज है जो ब्रिटिश टाइम पीरियड में बना था, और हम यहाँ से इस एरिया को प्रिजर्व करते हुए जिस एरिया में हमारी ये टोटल वेजिटेशन थी, मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि जगह बेसिकली दो एरिया था और यहाँ पे एंटर कर रहा हूँ, यहाँ सारी वेजिटेशन थी। सो इसकी जब काम हमने स्टार्ट किया इस जगह के ऊपर हम इस पहले क्लियरेंस सबसे पहले की गई है, इसकी डॉक्यूमेंटेशन की गई, और ये एरिया है मशरूम दरवाजा मेरी बैक साइड पे है, इसकी हमने सबसे पहले कंजर्व किया। आप देख सकते हैं ये दरवाजा जो है ये नीचे गिरा था, हमने इसको भी प्रिजर्व, इसमें लॉक्स नए लगा दिए गए जो मिसिंग थे और वापस कर दिया। ऑपरेशनल लॉक, द स्ट्रक्चर इज वेरी स्टेबल।
We have completed successfully 4 fights in the last 18 months. One of them is bunker, and this bunker is now being made an attractive business area as well, where we can have conferences. The other one is so gate. We have this bridge, royal kitchen, shower gate. Again, I'll say that the gate which was lying there, it was actually sunk inside the ground and it was mobile there. So we brought it down, repaired it, and the gate is back. You can do it, you can close it, and you can open it up as well.
One of the benefits of engaging urban transport culture was to bring international experts. So the all experts who came here, they instilled their knowledge in our young team of architects, engineers, and other conservators. So during this documentation work, one of the major projects which was identified was picture wall. It was initiated in 1624 by Emperor Jahangir, completed by Emperor Shah Jahan, 1632. It is world's largest mural. It has fresco, tile mosaic, marble work and cut brick work. It has a terracotta work and filigree work. So the decorative feature it has a unique appearance. We have 3,000 plus fresco and tile panels, and one tile panel would take 2 months to be constructed. So imagine the scale of the project. These tile mosaic panels, they have a 30% water porosity, and the glaze is already missing. There is no mean in traditional terms which can reduce the water porosity. So we employed a modern technique from Europe where we inject a kind of particle which seals the pores. And what you see is authentic tile at the end. Now this tile is more robust, more repellent, more authentic. So these kind of things we have introduced. And after conserving this project, the kind of tourism, the kind of money it will bring to the city of Lahore or the citizens of Lahore, it's immense. And this is the kind of philosophy of our transport culture. To use culture as a development tool.
You know, Pakistan is rich with nature and history both. We've always been exposing our nature, which is a natural state, that's the beauty of it. But what about our history, the heritage places? So I'm glad that here in Lahore, the Wall City has not only rehabilitated or conserved its historic monuments and spaces, but also activated, energized, and made them people friendly.
Inherently, I think इस सबके अंदर मेरे अंदर मजेदार एक फील आती है जब मैं इस एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर आता हूँ. मैं ऐसे कहता हूँ यार पूरी दुनिया की हिस्ट्री को बहुत मजेदार तरीके से ग्लोरीफाई किया. हमें somehow अपनी हिस्ट्री को ग्लोरीफाई करने का टाइम अब रियलाइज हुआ. And for some act of God, I think I ended up becoming a designer. Now when I became a designer, I obviously tried to find indigenous stories for me to tell, because for me it's very important for कि मैं अपने roots, अपने culture, अपने heritage के links से अपना future depict करूँ और मेरी अपनी understanding of the future depict करूँ. And architecture are the biggest inspirations for all artists, for all kinds of artists, whether they're filmmakers, whether they're fine artists, whether they're sculptors, whether they're fashion designers like me. So when I bring my children here and when I talk about the history, I talk about these things as superheroes. I glorify these guys कि यार उन्होंने ये किया था, उन्होंने कौन बनाया था, उन्होंने ये किया था, उन्होंने इस तरह वो किया था. So हम लोगों को स्टोरी टेलिंग का जो पॉइंट था ना बच्चों के साथ एसोसिएट करने का, I think that's also really something that's missing right now. And जिन्होंने ये जगह बनाई थी, उन लोगों के थॉट प्रोसेसेस को समझ के अगर हम अपने बच्चों को आज भी एक्सप्लेन करना शुरू करें, तो उनकी जो एलियनेशन हो चुकी है ना हमारी सकाफत से, हमारी हिस्ट्री से, हमारी कल्चर से, हमारी हेरिटेज से, वो वापस आ जाएगी.
First of all, we have to believe in our history. And our history is one of the oldest, richest, most diverse and colorful. This is just how you present it, how you package it, how you market it. You know, the same places can be here, same places could be the top of the world. So that's the challenge we have taken upon ourselves. जो कुछ हमारी धरती पर है, वो हमारा है. So that is a statement we need to internalize, believe, and embody.
The work that they've been doing in the recent years. Right? So I'm over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. What I'd like to do is you're going to see a lot of visuals of Lahore. So I thought let me also talk about first what is the Art Trust for Culture about and the kind of work we do in the Art and Urban Network. As you can see, this is the Art Trust for Culture. And the logo is an amazing logo because this depicts the Mukardas, the transition from the cube to a dome. And this is an Arabic invention or an Islamic invention. And it encompasses all the myriad factors that are part of culture, all the way from the very mundane to the spiritual. Next please. Talking just a little bit about the Al-Khan Development Network, what's unique or special to us is the fact that while development agencies around the world do have the social development or the economic development, the most interesting thing here is the AKDN has a cultural pillar of development. So development through culture is an important pillar of the AKDN. Next. Just to quickly talk about what His Highness the Al-Khan says. It is to leverage unique transformative power of culture to improve the socio-economic conditions prevailing in many Muslim populations. Communities that often have a rich cultural heritage but that live in poverty, such as in the mountains or in historic cities. Such projects can have a positive impact well beyond conservation, promoting good governance, the growth of civil society, a rise in income and economic opportunities, greater respect for human rights, and better stewardship of the environment. Next. That's Balkan Fort, 1893. Next. That is after its restoration. I bet some of you have visited this place. Next, please. The Al-Khan Trust for Culture works up in the mountains and down here in Lahore. This is a photograph of the 1930s. Next. This is how it is now. The mountains are amazing in the sense that out of 72,000 square kilometers of building Pakistan, only 1.5% is usable. Everything else is mountains. All the greenery that you see is human effort. So therefore the environment is paramount. Next thing. Mountains have more cultural diversity than any other physical sector. This is a great source of strength and an asset that should be supported as such. And that's why we are working in the mountains. Next. That's in the 1930s. That's a famous a part of the Silk Road. As you can see out there, there's some horses and people out there. Next. The old road bridge, all done using local materials. Next. This was a pretty poor place. Next. Whatever one could do was done through what greed there, what people had. Next. Next. Having said that access was an issue, this has all this Silk Road diversity. So we got Mon, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Animism, and a number of people. Next please. This is a mosque. It doesn't look like a mosque. But amazingly, this has a Buddhist tradition to it. Well, what's good about it is the local community was willing to take this on and we had to restore it. So they own this, with all its influence in that. Next. This is Lashari in Khablu. Again, this is one of the first projects we worked on. Next. It's got this amazing Jali work out there, which is possibly an Iranian influence on it. Next. So our key principles is basically new life in old buildings, make these sustainable, and most importantly, get the community on board for area revitalization. Next. Next. Alternate photo way back. Next. These are again some mosques out there. They don't look like mosques. Next. The old Alternate fort in the 1930s. Next. We got the Chinese back here in Alternate. Next. What these anthropoids do is we get all our culture back together, because this becomes a focal point for all that. Next. Women carpenters. Next. Women surveyors. Next. Doing carpentry. Next. We got the school out there. Next. And music performance. Next. And that's tourism in Alternate. Next. It's another video.
तेरा वगैरह हमने सीधा कर दिया ये तो बिल्कुल ना मगर तुम्हारा जो तो नीचे आसाने पे भी काम किया इधर जाओ तो गिन में किया शेयर
अबुल खानका जो बनी है वो शुरू में वही कह रहे थे कि हम एक बहुत बड़ा कंक्रीट की बिल्डिंग बनाना चाहते हैं। जब उन्होंने फुल पेजेस पर काम देखा और लोकल आर्किटेक्चर और लोकल मटेरियल्स का बेनिफिट देखा तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम अपने तर्ज तामीर अपने आर्किटेक्चर लोकल मटेरियल्स के साथ लोकल कंस्ट्रक्शन टेक्निक के साथ बनाएंगे। तो इसके नतीजे में हमने जितने भी वर्कफोर्स दिया वो 90% लोग का शिगर और हकूमत मिली। उसका फायदा ये हुआ कि मजीद ये ट्रेन हो गए और नए लोग भी सीख रहे हैं। तो इंशाल्लाह इसका फायदा एक लॉन्ग टर्म ये होगा कि जो बिल्डिंग्स बन रही हैं गाँव के अंदर और रीजन में वो अच्छी बिल्डिंग्स होंगी और उनको इन्वायरमेंट में नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट नहीं पड़ेगा।
पाकिस्तान भी नहीं आ रहा, लेकिन जब से शिया का फोर्ट बना है उसको हाफिज और पाकिस्तान शिया ये उनका नाम रोशन हो गया।
अगर शिया फोर्ट न बना होता तो आज ये मस्जिद इस शक्ल में न होता है बल्कि वास्ते से नहीं होता। और इसको देख के मुख्तलिफ हमारे लोग जो है अस्सी बिल्डिंग की तरफ जा रहे थे। अभी बहुत सारे मसाजिद इमाम बारगाह हत्ता कि होटल्स वो इस तर्ज तामीर में उन्होंने शुरू किया। जब से शिगर फोर्ट बना तकरीबन 25-30 आदमियों को वहाँ पर रोजगार लग गया। यहाँ से चीजें खरीद के ले जाते हैं, मार्केट हमारा उसकी वजह से काफी वो हो गया। यहाँ पर जो मेहमान आते हैं वो हमारी गाड़ियाँ हायर करते हैं। हमारा जो लोकल हमारा जो चीजें थी हमें लेके स्कूल जाना पड़ता था। फोर्ट की वजह से मुल्की और गैर मुल्की बहुत सारे सयाह आते हैं, वो हमारे घर के दरवाजे पर आके हमसे चीजें लेते हैं। इस तरह से हम इक़्तिसादी तौर पर हमें बहुत बड़ा फायदा हुआ।
बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क आया है। 1200-1300 लड़के यहाँ से सीख के तारीफ हो गए हैं। हम सबने कमाना शुरू किया और बहुत बेरोजगार लोग था, इन सबको रोजगार मिला।
सब आलू कहीं भी काम नहीं सकते, आलू कहीं भी नहीं सुबह इसी
So we have basically sustained 42 households from Srinagar and 34 from Serena Couple Palace. And just not that, we buy all our produce from the villages. So we give the business to the community, we give the livelihood to the community, and the profits we earn, we give it back to TMS, the Town Management Committee, and then they utilize in furthering the causes of the village, like paving the bazaar and renovating the mosques so that there's more attraction for people to come here.
लाइट बंद करता हूँ सेशन
So I'd like to open up. We saw two very detailed videos about projects that the Khan and the World City Authority has been taking. I would like to ask all three of you individually, could you please unpack the word heritage? What does it mean to you? You have dedicated a lot of your careers in trying to create a kind of cultural legacy in a way of bringing the past into the present, because there are all these monuments, these beautiful visuals that we have. But how important is it, and how relevant are they to us as in this community, and what do you feel is important that needs to be highlighted when we speak of the word heritage and heritage conservation? So can I start with you, Professor Nadhra?
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you, Destinations, for inviting me to the panel. And thank you for the question. Let me just begin by trying to explain the term heritage and history and how they connect with each other, how they relate to each other. History are stories of people who inhabited the world before us. And we like to learn about them, we like to learn about their achievements, their losses, and that somehow translates our own lives in one way or the other. Heritage is everything that is handed down to us by our ancestors. In a sort of individual capacity, it would be stuff that your parents gave you or your grandparents hand down to you. And from a collective perspective, it would be both tangible and intangible objects, practices, concepts, rituals, ideas that come down. Why is it important for heritage to be conserved? Because once you own them as yours, with these intrinsic values that are added to them because they belong to your ancestors, they somehow are connected to you. And then you want them to go down to your successors. And this is where conservation becomes extremely important, because everything has a life cycle. Buildings have life cycles. Buildings are created, buildings are used, and then buildings are left to others. Sometimes they appropriate them in a totally different manner than what their initial intention was. And the same can happen to other objects, movable objects, and intangible activities as well. Some traditions of cooking, of creating art. If we do not document all of that, and if we do not study them in their own true perspective, then a lot gets lost. And by the time they travel from one generation to another generation, their meanings may totally be changed. So history, heritage, and conservation have to work with each other. And for it to remain meaningful, we have to keep studying it, we have to stay connected to it, and as Lashari said, whatever, how do we view heritage? What is our heritage? How do we translate it? Everything that exists on this land that we inhabit is ours, irrespective of who created it, what was their religion, what were their rituals, if they were different, if they were different races, they were different communities. We should actually soar above that and own it, and start taking pride in that. And that is one way of, reconnecting ourselves to our day. And I, of course, leave it for Lashari to want some add-on to it.
What God made you, I was worthy enough to teach at dance and say some beautiful things, but what I think is, looking from another perspective, that knowing heritage is important, or valuing it is important, because it's basically knowing thyself. It's this human instinct that you wish to know who you are and
and in what context you understand yourself and the orientation that you develop is best when it is linked with the past also. If you detach yourself from the past, then you are a lost soul, you're like, hanging in the middle, and you're actually also disconnecting yourself from the future. So there's a crisis of identity when it comes to collective term, particularly in a nation like Pakistan. We keep arguing who we are, where do we belong to, where did we come from, what is ours, what is not ours. I've seen even my chief secretaries questioning us when we were doing this Toronto market for that matter. Okay, इसमें क्या है? This doesn't belong to us, and or when we were wanting to do some program at the, when the World Cup or Fort, but Mughals were different, are they what we want to represent? Whom do we represent? Who are we? I mean, if you ask, if you go into the genesis, most of us sitting here are migrants. So ultimately, it's a history which amalgamates, which builds up, and you can't, tear it apart. Whatever. Why am I speaking in English? Why am I wearing this? There's a historic context to it. So, I'm very nationalist, but how can you say the impact that different religions, different civilizations, different cultures have made upon us can be lost? So that is our treasure in fact. Let's value it right from the Mehergarh times to Mandadar to the present. Look what enrichment it has brought to us in terms of our diversity and in terms of multiplicity in religions and multiculturalism and folk dances and music and festivals. ये भी आपने देखा जो इन्होंने दिखाया. I mean ये भी पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा है. There's a Tibetan touch to it. There's an Iranian thing. So हुआ ये है कि थोड़ा सा context रखने लगा. चंद दहाइयों में, very recent decades, another culture is getting superimposed upon us. And we are deriving our, from somewhere, from where we derive surely, and we feel very proud of our religion. But the impact all along 5,000 years of history has been either Indian or social, what shall one say, the regional, mainly Iranian and Turco. So अब कहीं और से ही हमारी जो है सुपर इम्पोजिशन हो रही है. We have to be careful, we have to protect our history of 5,000 years. In fact, Mehergarh में died was 7,000.
Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more with both your statements. So I'm not really going to talk much more about what is heritage. But what I would definitely like to emphasize is that in the case of the Alfred Development Network, particularly the Alfred Trust for Culture, for us, heritage is everything, all of this, and we need to use this, capitalize on it, and take it forward for the benefit of all the people living in that particular region, like in Pakistan, and we have this diversity. Within that, what's being chosen is a tangible heritage as a focus, around which all the intangible heritage can also come about. Because the tangible, which is the most long-lasting, and therefore that informs all the other activities or all the other aspects of heritage. One study showed that over half the historic cities in the world are in lands which are Islamic or Muslim, have a Muslim background or an Islamic background to it. And here we have this huge clash of civilization, and therefore for us it's most important to revel in what we have. The class that we had in the Mughal era, 4 years ago, our civilization was at the apex. It was the top civilization of the world, for example. And we need to really take pride in it. And therefore, I think we've been very fortunate that we have got this expertise right here in front of us. Historians, practitioners, people with vision out here. And we've got government support to work on that. And I think it's making a difference. And we're going to talk about that later.
Thank you very much, Salman. So, you all raised some really wonderful points. This idea of the crisis of identity, who are we? And to be able to use this as a vehicle to embrace all the aspects of ourselves, and ours is a very inclusive word. This is an important thing that we've talked primarily about Islamic sites and Muslim sites. Even with the Mughals, we know that even though that was the imperial household was ruling over a lot of the subcontinent, their population was very diverse. There were all kinds of religions and ethnicities that lived in comparative harmony under the Mughal reign. And that is why it's thought to be such an incomparable time in South Asian history. So bringing this to the present, how important do you feel it is, and how feasible is it that we begin to include marginalized communities, their histories, and kind of weave it into the fabric, as is already being done on a slightly small scale. But we've seen with Kartarpur, we've seen this recent massive project happening. How important is heritage conservation in like bringing communities together that may not naturally see eye to eye? Is it something that is part of the purview of this? And can I ask Kamran about this?
I'd like to respond to that. You see, I've worked with communities in very dense areas, in areas which you can say are slum or backyard of this city called Lahore. For instance, the Adroom Lahore, the Taksali, and the Delhi and all that. It's not easy unless you identify and socially mobilize the communities, the locals. मैं आपको एक बड़ी मजेदार बात बताता हूँ. जब गवर्नमेंट फूड स्ट्रीट है, it gained so much of attention, name, and acceptability. I remember there was a controversy going on कि जी यहाँ के लोगों का कल्चर, जो लोकल कम्युनिटी है, वो कुछ लोग नाराज भी हैं. I asked one chap who was standing buying some kebabs and all that at a shop. So he said, जी मैं बैंकर हूँ और यहीं पर रहता हूँ. तो मैंने कहा, you are my good sample. You tell me you are not the direct beneficiary because you are a banker and you don't own any food shop. कहते जी आप सही कह रहे हैं, but I will give you very honest opinion. How as a local community have I benefited from this? ऐसे उसने निकाला अपना कार्ड. He said, just look at this. उस पर इसका नाम था and it was written President of Gawalmandi Food Street. He said, पहले हम किसी को अपनी बताते नहीं थे कि हम कहाँ के रहने वाले हैं. हम शर्माते थे कि हम बताने. अब हम भी carrying as a badge because it has not given me economic returns as directly, but it has given me such name, image. हमारी बच्चियों की शादियाँ नहीं होती थी, हमारे घर पे कोई नहीं आता था. इस वक्त तो भैया खड़ा हूँ बाजार में, मेरे घर पे 3 सुपरिटेंडेंट इंजीनियर्स बैठे हैं वोकड़ा के. मेरे घर में तो कभी लाइनमैन भी नहीं आया था. तो उनको मैंने अभी ये ले जाकर so मैंने उनको ट्रीट करा. So my point is that it brings so much of pride, identity, and ownership to the locals, apart from lot of business going together. Food Street and Gawalmandi became a different ballgame. So has now Delhi Darwaza and Taksali and all those areas. And I tell you, these are generally very marginalized people. They are never the beneficiaries. But if you generate tourism, it changes the whole scenario.
Thank you. So Mansa, can you add on, because your work in the northern areas, how have you mobilized communities and brought them together? Have you? And can you speak specifically also about the challenges that come? Because there is some mistrust also often.
Absolutely.
working in any social context, you will have your challenges, or whatever you do. So if I were to say, are we 100% successful? Not at all. Not at all. It's always a living dynamism. We have to be at it constantly. I just talked about the Lahore Authority. I think I can salute them for the amazing mobilization work that they've carried to social mobilization. Without that, it would have been impossible to do all these encroachments, people, gain the trust of people, and do all these amazing things that have happened. So a salute to the Lahore Authority led by Mr. Kamran. Seriously. For instance, what do we look at? If you were even looking at Lahore, as you may know, the Lahore Fort and the Shalimar Bagh, they're together packed into as one World Heritage Site. Interestingly, the summary of reducing is not a part of the World Heritage Site. And we are working together to get that as part of it, as part of the World Heritage Site. So that's the kind of vision we have. We need to be inclusive of whatever we have, as was said earlier. Up in the north, I can mention a couple of things. For example, you did see in the videos that the new mosques, they have all this influence still there. They made a fort, they don't have domes, they don't have minarets out there. But this great ownership here has come from the people itself, because they've seen their heritage restored, and they see all the benefits of that heritage. Because it's local and it fits beautifully into that environment. It uses all the local materials, as it were. So there's a great understanding and awareness and recognition of course, also of the fact. Because this is what communities are doing on their own. They said, let's build a new mosque. Earlier they were going to build, as I think it was Ifidari said, they were going to build a concrete mosque here. But they decided against it and they've gone back to the old traditional way of doing things. For ourselves, up in the north, it's generally been said, Pakistan, the mountains, or 1/3 of Pakistan's per capita. And we all understand, this is about 20 years back, we all understand Pakistan per capita is not too high in the world. So in a period of time, we've looked at possible strategies to improve that living. What are the facets of it? It's your heritage. Of all kinds of it. So that's been revalorized, and now we've got visitors going in, enlightened visitors, may I suggest. And we'd like more of those, and less of the mass tourism, which is another aspect of all this.
Thank you. Professor Nadhra, we looked at how the transformative power of heritage conservation with both the Khan Cultural Institution and with the government and the World City Authority. Your role as an academic, as a professor, when you're looking at these objects, and you do a lot of close looking, yours is where you're unpacking the kind of details and the context you're giving to, that's the kind of hand that you lent in this larger project. Can you talk about what you see the role of academia or educational institutions, what do they need to do, or what is already being done in order to kind of facilitate this reading of all these, we're looking at these images, what do they mean? They look, they mean one thing to someone, they mean something to the other, there is no uniform reading. So could you kind of shed light on that a bit?
I would definitely love to. I have put together a few slides, if those could be put up. Since the topic was the sacred and heritage, I thought, I'd sort of show a few slides of sacred images that we are not familiar with generally. And this is what I do as an art historian, this is what I do as an art teacher. At the university, I try to familiarize my students with other cultures, other religious identities, and through that I try to sort of bridge the gaps that we have in our understanding. When we look at these images, they just appear to be, next one please, this was meant to actually show you the location of this wall painting. These are 3 wall paintings, the first 3 walls, including this one, from the Dera Sahib Gurdwara that Salman and Lashari Sahib just spoke about, that they're trying to get within the World Heritage Sites, which is a great effort. So these are images that are painted, and you can see their condition. A lot has been scratched off. What we have in front of us is the Ram Darbar. Now this is a Sikh Gurdwara. Initially this actually became a Gurdwara in the late 19th century. Initially this was the Shahidi Asthan of the 5th Sikh Guru, Guru Arjan Dev, built by the Maharaja. What he had, the kind of approach that we find in Sikh paintings, and that is what makes this genre of Sikh paintings unique and worth studying and has unfortunately been ignored for a long time, is that it is very inclusive. It takes on, it showcases not only Sikh religious figures, it also shows Hindu mythological characters, and it does not shy away from showing Muslim figures as well. So you go to a lot of, since a lot has perished in the war and in our part of the world, if you happen to go to Amritsar and if you come across a Gurdwara where their wall paintings are still extant, you would definitely find Sasi Kunu, Soni Maliha, Ranta, all of those side by side with Hindu deities and Sikh gurus. So that is the kind of inclusivity that comes through, that used to be a part of our lives, that used to be a part of the lives of our ancestors, whom we are happy to own, but then we do not, we kind of disregard their practices and what was dear to their hearts. So in conserving heritage, it is not only one object that we can take up at our own will and discard everything else. We have to be adopt a collective approach. We have to look at what kind of lives they spent, what were their worldviews, and why can they not be ours. So after this, next slide please, this is Ram and Sita on the Darbar. The next one shows Guru Nanak, that we generally are now more familiar with than others. And the next one, no, the previous one. And ये जो है ये भी the last Sikh Guru Gobind Singh है, और ये सामने जो चार figures बैठे हुए हैं, ये उनके साहिबजादे हैं, who were actually martyred by the Mughal forces. So when we look at these images, or when we look at art, especially within these heritage sites or displayed any place else, what it connects us to are not only these important people, the glorified, that are very selected and small in number. ये हमें connect करते हैं उन लोगों से जिन्होंने ये चीजें बनाई. So the craftsmen also take a life of their own. So we get connected to the materials, we get connected to their practices, to their ideas, to the sort of literature that actually was created behind the poets, writers. So heritage के करीब जाने का मतलब ये है कि you go nearer to a large number of people, and this connectivity and this these severed sort of relationships that we now have become more meaningful, because then they tell us about who we are, and because we're going to hand this down to our successors, to posterity. And we want our posterity to actually engage with all of this in the manner that we find is meaningful. अगर वो इसमें से pick and choose करेंगे, तो history is like, as I interpret it, like a chain. Chain में क्या होता है? छोटे-छोटे links होते हैं. History की कोई किताब उठा के देख लें, उसमें भी chapters होते हैं. Chronological order में है तो 12वीं सदी में ये हुआ, 13वीं में ये हुआ, 14वीं में ये हुआ. In 50 सालों में ये हुआ, फिर उसका impact आगे हुआ. You take out chapters of your history book, and the entire book becomes meaningless. You cannot make sense of that. So जब हम अपनी heritage को पढ़ते हैं या देखते हैं, और उसमें से हम टैक्सला भी निकाल देते हैं क्योंकि वो बुद्धिस्ट है, जैन भी निकाल देते हैं क्योंकि उसका हमसे कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है, फिर हिंदू भी निकाल दें, सिख भी निकाल दें, तो बाकी बचता कुछ नहीं है. That is why we have this very confused understanding of our past. So एक clear understanding है, सब कुछ पढ़ने की ज़रूरत है, सब कुछ सीखने की ज़रूरत है, और हर चीज़ से interact करने की ज़रूरत है.
Thank you. Would anyone like to add on to that?
I think she says it all, but at the same time, it's how you value something. See, one is understanding, let's say, the other is that you need to value it. Only when you understand it, and you will have interest in it, only then you will value it. So, हमारे अपने घर से शुरू हो जाए कि अगर कोई पुरानी कुर्सी होती है, कोई प्याला या प्लेट, हम बहुत शेखी से कई दफ़ा दिखाते हैं मेहमान को, ये मेरे दादा के वक्त की है, ये मेरे वक्त की है, होती तो maybe it's not as valuable from modern point of view. तो लेकिन उसके पीछे बड़ी एक इमोशनल अटैचमेंट भी है, उसके पीछे एक हिस्ट्री है पूरी, और पूरा एक चेन है जैसे आपने कहा। तो इसको वैल्यू करना, समझना, वरना कह सकते हैं खडरात है, इनको खत्म कर दे कि यार वहाँ पे प्लाजा बना दें, कुछ कर दें। तो but we can truly take pride in this। हम भी अब इस उम्र में आके पूरी दुनिया घूम चुके हैं कि पाकिस्तान दुनिया के अव्वलीन मुल्कों में से होगा। ये हमारी खुशबख्ती है कि हमने कुछ नहीं किया, we are inheritors and we have inherited such a huge, diverse, rich, oldest civilization of the world. So पहली 2-3 civilizations में ये बहस हो सकती है कि हम ज़्यादा हैं कि वो ज़्यादा, तो उसको बरकरार रखना और उसको इवन मैं फोक डांसेस की अगर बात करूँ, आप वहाँ से खराम से शुरू हो जाए, गोइंग अप टू कपलू एंड ऑल, इट्स अमेजिंग। मैंने कभी एज डिप्टी कमिश्नर लाहौर एक फंक्शन किया था जी, ऑल पाकिस्तान यंग परफॉर्मर्स फेस्टिवल, 62 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स केम डाउन टू लाहौर, इधर ओपन एयर थिएटर में तारिक अजीज साहब थे। मैंने वैसा माहौल अपनी जिंदगी में नहीं देखा, बिकॉज 62 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स इन देयर ओरिजिनल ड्रेसेस, यंगस्टर्स who we had not trained, उनके अपने बेस्ट टीम्स जो थी और फोक डांसेस, मैंने अपने अंदर पाकिस्तानियत की उतनी धड़कन नहीं देखी, उतना जोर नहीं देखा जैसे उस वक्त देखा। So there's so much of beauty and variety in festivals and folk dances and everything. I hope we can own it up. हम अपने छोटे से ज़रूर में कर रहे हैं। I must take the opportunity to thank the 2 partnerships that Wall City Lahore Authority is working with and trying to add value. One and foremost is the Art and Trust for Culture. Believe you me, we couldn't have done what we have done without them. अब समझ लग रही है कि conservation की तो इस मुल्क में डिग्री ही नहीं है। Conservation is a very specialized job. एंड हमारी कंजर्वेशन के चैंपियंस जो रहे वो आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट रहे। आर्कियोलॉजी इज अ डिफरेंट साइंस, ठीक है, चूंकि वो थे नहीं तो या कोई इंजीनियर्स या आर्किटेक्ट्स ये सारे मिलके कंजर्वेशन करते रहे, करनी चाहिए, लेकिन कंजर्वेशन में एक खास स्पेशलाइज्ड साइंस है एंड दैट केम थ्रू आवर पार्टनरशिप विद आर्ट एंड ट्रस्ट। अगर ये पार्टनरशिप ना होती तो जिस तरह से शाही इमाम आज हमारे सामने आया है, मेरा महकमा कभी भी ऐसा नहीं कर सकता। So we got the UNESCO award. इसी तरह we are looking for another UNESCO award at Masjid Nazir Khan and picture wall etc. दूसरी मैं पार्टनरशिप जो वैल्यू करता हूँ जो वो है देवू एंड आसमा एंड अ टीम, जिनकी ये फिल्म आपने देखी, चाहे काम हमारे दिखा रही थी लेकिन हम आज तक इतनी अच्छे तरीके से नहीं दिखा सकते। सो ये मेरी दर्शी तस्वीर कभी नहीं देखी, तो मेरी बेगम इसको देख के घबरा गई, ये कहती तुम अभी कैसे लगते हो। So this is, I tell you truly speaking, partnerships which make the difference. We don't value, particularly in government, we don't. मैं जब ज्वाइन किया वॉल सिटी, कैन यू बिलीव the Afghan team had packed up and gone, and nobody in Punjab government knew or was worried, was concerned, and then I sort of cajoled them, brought them back, and they said, okay, we are going to test you all for 6 months. Today, it is more than 6 years we are working, and for the next 6 years we have MOUs. So this is how. I'm not a specialist myself. If I specialize, it is or should be as a government servant only one thing, I should have the ability to know how to work with men and women of ability. So, thank you very much.
To anyone who would like to take this question, because it's a bit, I think all of you should take it quite briefly. And then we'll open up the floor for a few questions, very quick questions. So you identified exactly the next step in this, which is like how to expand this sector, the sector of development, cultural heritage. How do you grow this from bottom up? And Kamran, some of you just identified one of the key challenges, which is technical expertise, technical know-how, because that is something that conservation is not archaeology, as you say. They think a lot of, unfortunately, the way that the government also works is that you try to pass along archaeologists as conservationists, whereas conservation is a field with many sub-fields in it as well. How do you, these are the gaps we need to identify. You are all three very exceptional individuals. Outside of you, there's a world of non-exceptional individuals, and it is only your tenacity and your heatness that has allowed us to move forward. But these things would not have gone ahead. So how does one grow this sector in a way that is sustainable? Because if it's not, so that it's not so dependent on individuals like yourselves, but that the system can grow out of it. Can we first identify gaps? And then what would you, in a perfect world, what would you like to see happen in Pakistan, in this sector? I'll ask Salman to go first, and then Nadhra and then
It's interesting, like Mr. Kamran Lashari said, we invited us back, or we use the word cajored us back here. So when I think for the first time, we had walked down the Shahi Bazaar and looked left and looked left and said, why are we not doing this, the Shahi Abadi, which was in a very bad state. Then we walked further down and we saw the Wazir Khan. I said, God, this is a mess. Who's going to be bothered about the Shahi Bazaar and all this mess? And we got into that partnership fact. So what has happened is one of the important elements of any work that the Afghan network is, but generally what we do in particular is, our aim is, and all our elements talking about that, it is building capacity and expertise. I'm not too certain if just getting a degree out there and conservation or whatever will really help you. They are academic, and most of these are still in the Western world in any case. So how they're relevant to us is also a little question mark, because our context is totally different. We are very colorful. Our history shows that, as I explained, in the visa can address it, you did much more than that. So the way we work is, and I think we'll all be glad to know, the Afghan Trust for Culture, I mentioned earlier, we are the only such institution around the world which works on projects of conservation round the clock. There is no other body like us in the world. And we're delighted to be able to work in Pakistan. The very first NASA Award for Architecture was held right here at the Shalimar Gardens in 1981. And that's something we'd like to take forward. Our work with the Water City Lahore Authority has been extremely close. Our teams are, Kamran Lashari can call up anybody from our team, I can call up anybody from the Water City Lahore Authority. We work like that. And because of that, I think there is this conservation is by doing it. And therefore, that's the way we move forward. And I can assure you now that there's been a lot of exchange of views, of capacities, of skills. And we got a lot of youngsters out here, from all the way from NCA to Beacon House to Cox, and you name it, from Lahore itself. So I think we've got a good pool of people coming up, and I think we're going on the right track. About archaeology, remember they deal with the dead, not the living. So, but we deal with the living, and we want to make it more living. So our approach is quite different, if I may use that. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Nadhra, and then I'd like to come outside.
Well, I'll borrow the word you just used. Livingness is again something that is important for heritage, because it has to live for contemporary people, and then that life needs to be transferred over to posterities. The loops or loopholes or the gaps that I find in whatever has been going on generally. Of course, taking out the projects that have been done under the umbrella of Kamran and Wall City Authority, is that conservation generally has been done by conservation experts maybe, but then they did not have the required historical background that is extremely important to put something together. I can give you one small example of the Samadhi that I worked on in detail. There was one panel that could not yield itself, that could not say what was happening in it. Why? Because there had been some conservation activities that had taken up in around the 60s by a batch of students who were studying at the Punjab University under the leadership of their principal, Anamol Campbell. There were some delegates who were visiting the Samadhi and the Dera Sahib complex. The faces had been gouged out of facial feet, something that we just saw. And in a hurry, these, a small number of people who were painters, but they had no clue what these mythological characters looked like and what they were actually doing. So they were sworn into secrecy, they were brought into the Samadhi and the Dera Sahib complex, and they were asked to restore the faces. Now, as a historian, when I was looking at this, it just baffled my mind because a character who actually should have been a sage Vishwamitra, if anyone is familiar with this character in Ramayana, was meant to be seated next to Sita's father. And there instead, what one found was a female-looking character wearing this animal hide. And after months of looking at these 10 by 12 prints that I used to carry and with a magnifying glass, I finally found a tiny little tip of his beard at the base of the restored area. So, had it been someone else, this particular panel would have been read in another manner. And similarly, a major chunk of history would have been lost. So conservation, of course, is extremely important. We need to have this expertise here. We need to have universities offering these degrees. But what I would really stress upon is that history has to be dealt with in a very serious manner. And the other thing that I would really, taking this opportunity is that we need to start educating our children at a very young age. We have to have art history as a compulsory subject for young people. So they grow up understanding, owning up these heritage sites, objects that are meaningful for them, and if there are funds to restore them, they at least do not destroy them. So this relationship of their character imbued in them at a very early age.
Thank you. Very, very important words. Kamran sir.
Okay, very briefly, I know people must be by now wanting to get this on that, but one is the state narrative. I think आपने सवाल बहुत अच्छा किया कि इसको कैसे आइडियल कंडीशंस कैसे हम इस सारे मिशन को आगे ले जा सकते हैं. So ideally speaking, if the state narrative is clear and honest and in accordance with our rich old history, that would be the ideal thing. But over the years we've seen हमारा नसाब, हमारा अंदाज जो है वो उसके मुताबिक नहीं है. The other is, and the good thing that has happened in the present times is that the government has owned up to it. That's a huge ray of hope, as long as they live up to it. And one very good example is the Kartar. I think one single factor which has made so much of a difference is this one project. The only thing that we have done is nothing but remove the restriction, which was self-imposed. So we, ideally speaking, need to do nothing except remove the barriers, restrictions, mental and physical, in this country. And I tell you, we will be entering into the 21st century.
This was a very, very knowledgeable, I think, session. Could I open the floor very quickly for one or two questions.
So I'm from Melbourne, and we run this festival, Salman Fest. I found it really interesting that you spoke about the different faith traditions and you spoke about the emotional attachment that people have. Part of what the work we do also has interfaith dialogue. This is a difficult conversation to have. What have you found the level of tolerance within the society here and acceptance of other perspectives?
You asking someone in particular?
Every time that I've actually approached my students or I've shown these images to my class, they've been very receptive. I've taught Sikh paintings, getting to know Punjab through Sikh period paintings. I've taught Buddhist art and architecture. I teach Mughal art and architecture as well, miniature paintings, all of that. I've never seen any resistance. And when we're talking about Sikh paintings, we definitely go in detail about Hindu deities and the Sikh gurus and their iconography and their attributes and all of that. I have yet to see a student raise his or her hand or just walk out the classroom thinking that, oh my God, she's actually saying something that does not fit into my narrative. They're very receptive. So, a lot of them whom I actually feared would resist such a narrative actually came to my offices and we've opened up a new horizon to us. Now we know, how to relate to these. Now we know how to read them, how to understand them. So I think using the tool of art history, things become a little softer. It becomes easier for people to bridge these gaps. So interfaith dialogues can be one way of sort of promoting certain other ideas as well, dovetailing serious matters into it. But I'm pretty confident that would be a good route to take.
Thank you. Anyone else? We can close the session. Otherwise.
Just to comment, we should have one of those sessions again that you had back in the day when you had 67 districts celebrating their diversity. So looking forward to that.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. You have to now. We're all
We're talking about good old times. That even Bilal Bhutto was part of that show that I'm talking about. Zardari Sahab, everybody, minus Bezi Sahab, everybody was there. And I remember Bhutto Sahab making this, मैं परियों के देश में आ गया हूँ और ये ऐसा प्रोग्राम तो अब हर साल होगा और कभी एक सूबे में होगा कभी दूसरे में होगा इस तरह की बड़ी अच्छा as it was I got transferred अब next year की तैयारी कर तो नए डीसी साहब आए उन्होंने कहा ये क्या फजूल काम है ये बच्चों के नाच गाने ये हमने हमारा काम है इसको बंद करो भाई इसके से so the whole thing was shut down वो दिन नाच कर but
it's neat. It is very good.
Let's move to the last slide.
Can we just have the last slide? Take last slide.
आप चलते जाए और आज नहीं सिर्फ पीछे जाइएगा और पीछे ये वाली बस ये वाली लिस्ट actually I wanted to bring everyone to them. This was a Jain mother standing in the heart of the city. This was pulled down. इसका ये टुकड़ा अभी तक इसी तरह से Please can someone
Look to your right, Professor Nadhra. You have the two the men of action here.
This is what we come doing about. This is something. This was the image that haunts me every time I pass by. I want to actually, sort of ask the driver to stop the car, get out, take more pictures before it goes. And this is not the only side. We've had such disasters at other sites as well. Can we all stand together and prevent anything else like this happening ever again in Pakistan? That is what I wanted everyone to get.
Thank you very much to the panelists. Thank you to the audience. The session is concluded. If you'd like to talk with them, welcome.
Thank you.